Whenever I'm ready?
Yep.
Okay. Well, basically, I'm going to assume most of you aren't married. Is that safe to assume? No, that's yes. No. Okay. Thank you. Well, of course, other than you. Why I asked that is because what I really want to know is, later on when you do get married, will you possibly be paying taxes? Of course.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know if any of you are paying individual taxes. But when you get married, you have the option to pay jointly, meaning that you and your spouse would pay one individual tax return. The reason I bring this up is because most homosexual couples, since they're not allowed to have same-sex marriage, since they're not allowed to have same-sex marriage, they don't get this benefit of joint tax returns. The reason I bring this up is mainly because I have some relatives that would generally want to be married, even not just because of this, but this does allow them to have certain benefits that I feel would generally be greatly beneficial. Just to go in a circle there. One of the reasons is because when they when they're jointed in their tax returns, they're basically paying a higher tax bracket, meaning their tax that they're paying is usually higher than most people who aren't married or decide to pay individual taxes. That would also mean that that would mean that they'd be paying. That would mean that in time, taxes in our states and would go down gradually. Because the higher bracket, the more people paying in that higher bracket. One of the other reasons that I think they would benefit is because in that allowing of marriage, with the addition to their joint tax returns, they would also allow to obtain tax credits, which basically come from like child care expenses and other expenses that come from having children, whatnot, college funds such as saving bonds, and the interest that you have to pay for those. This does not just affect them, but it also affects you. Likewise, going back to the point where the taxes will go down, it would also stimulate some child care jobs, some accounting positions. Even in their old age, though, with the joint tax returns, they would be they would still have to pay some sort of tax income, usually coming from their Social Security, and with this increased tax returns, they would that amount would grow over time, depending on how long they've been paying. They've been filing together. Basically, what I try to influence you to do today is consider that the benefits that would come from same-sex marriage. That's it.
All right, George, I know vaguely what your subject is, but I couldn't tell what the claim was. It was very confusing. It sounds to me like you're suggesting at the end that homosexuals having the ability to marry would gain some financial advantage for themselves. Okay, that's actually a clearer statement of what you were talking about than anything that preceded it. Because I got information that suggested that they actually are saving money by not being able to marry because you pay at a higher rate. I didn't hear whether or not people who are married and file joint returns pay more or less. I didn't hear any factual data relating to that. There wasn't any estimate about what the revenues would be. There's no authority who is providing you any cover for this information, who's made an inference or a study on this that's supporting this. This all sounds like it's highly abstract. And it was, like I said, completely confusing. It sounds like there's also a second point in there somewhere that suggests that there would be some economic activity or benefit if homosexuals were allowed to marry, but I didn't hear any support for that, and it seemed like you abandoned it almost as quickly as you said it. You need to have a much more straightforward claim. You need to say, allowing homosexuals to marry will result in a financial benefit for them. Number one, married couples get a substantial financial benefit in their tax returns. Number two, homosexuals aren't allowed to marry. Therefore, number three, homosexuals don't get this substantial benefit, and it would be economically productive for them to have that benefit. That's a simple way of making the argument that you're presenting. As it is, some of that might be buried in what you're saying, but I couldn't pick it out. It really felt like you're winging it too much, and you're trying to explain ideas instead of being able to tell us what it is that you've discovered about this. So the big problem here is that there's structural issues, and then the second big problem is that there's no evidence backing up these claims. Now, I think the topic is probably a good choice. There's something here if you dig into it. I did think that your summary attempted to develop a little clearer point of view, and it rescues a lot of what's going on earlier. But you shouldn't need the rescuing. You need to have it straight from the beginning. All right, thank you.